You're welcome. Tonight we're focusing on the state of democracy in Nigeria. Nigeria, fondly called the giant of Africa, has made significant strides in its democratic journey since the return of civilian rule in 1999. However, the country still faces numerous challenges that threaten the very fabric of its democracy. From the ongoing agitation for electoral reform to growing concerns about the independence of the judiciary, Nigerians are increasingly demanding a more accountable and a more responsive government. Now, there are significant obstacles to Nigeria's democratic progress. These include corruption and lack of transparency and accountability, which continue to undermine the public trust and continue to erode the legitimacy of democratic institutions. Now, despite these challenges, Nigerians remain resilient. They remain committed to the democratic process. We've seen it. The youth in particular are driving the demand for change and pushing for a more inclusive and participatory democracy, as evidenced in Nigeria's 2023 general elections. Well, joining us tonight for a conversation on 25 years of unprecedented democratic change and power handover in Nigeria, we have our guests right here in the studio. Dr. Adetokunbo Pearse is a public affairs analyst, and he's a convener of Reset Lagos PDP. Femi-Dagunro is a public policy analyst and founder of Lagos Forum. You're both Lagos boys. Can I say that? Yes. Gentlemen, good to have you on the program tonight.
Yes,
good to be here. Fantastic. All right, with 25 years of uninterrupted democracy, in Nigeria, can we say that the glass is half full or half empty? Mr. Dagunro?
Whichever way you look at it, democracy evolves. And we have a reason to celebrate if we want to look at that and to say, look, we are growing. And the system has allowed us to really do a couple of things right. And maybe we have not done everything right, though, and we have to evolve with it. If you look at a couple of things happening in the past, you will see that despite all the challenges that we've had and we're still having, and we may still have in the future, we've been able to stand as one. And that's a great thing. And standing as one country with a united front is something that every one of us should hold on to, no matter what it is. And that is why in the past, we can always blame it on leaders. We can always blame it on the past leaders, and we don't want to blame it on anyone else. I mean, we have to blame it on some of us as well, who are the followers, who are the citizens.
But you're blaming yourself?
Yes, including myself, because there are things that we should contribute to. There are things that we should do to make this country grow. And that is one of the things we have to begin to sensitize our people to understand. It's not always the leader. The leaders have their problems, no doubt about that. Because they are there, they are voted there to do us good. And when you see that they are not doing us good, then we complain and say, look, we voted you here to do us good. What have you been doing for the past 25 years? But don't forget, it's not just one man for 25 years. We've had a couple of men and women who have taken challenges, who have taken this ruler for that period. So right now we have another person who has just spent just 1 year. And so we are looking at 25 years based on one man who is just there now. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for you to just analyze it and say, look, for 25 years, this is what we're supposed to have. This is what we are not having. And what has this what has this gentleman, the president now, what has he done for 365 days? So this is where analysis have to be very critical. And then analysts themselves have to be all looking at all this. There are some pillars that have been broken. There are some areas that we don't even have pillars at all, that a new man has to put the pillars right, and we are not saying that because, naturally, human beings just want to see everything work right.
Okay, so we'll come to the new man, like you called him. No, he's not so new, but in terms of this office. So glass half full, 25 years of uninterrupted democracy, should Nigerians give themselves a pat on the back, or is it a glass half empty?
Whichever way you look at it, whichever you look at it,
which are you looking at?
Whichever you look at it, the glass, whether it's half full or it's half empty, it depends on how you define it. But there's a content in the glass.
So half full. That's what you say.
Content in the glass.
If there's content, it's half full. All right, Mr. Pearse, how about you?
I pray and work for democracy to be actualized. This idea of unbroken 25 years of democracy doesn't tell us much. The purpose of democracy as an institution is to serve the people, not only to involve the people in the process, but to involve them in the way that they benefit from the process. And if we look at what we have in Nigeria in 25 years, yes, in theory, we are one country, but we are only a geographical expression. We don't have a nation. Agitations all the time, and rightfully so. Yoruba nation, IPOB, Igbo nation, Northern nation, everybody looking for a Nigeria that will be beneficial to them. That will be
Ijaw nation, even.
Ijaw nation, of course. Therefore, our democracy has not grown, has not yielded fruits. We have not seen the real benefits of democracy in these 25 years. That is to say, after the military rule, right? Since military. There have been administrations that have made some progress. So we cannot say, we don't put everybody together. We look at each administration, each 4 years or 8 years. What have you done? What is the state of the nation during your period? So we can talk about any president, any administration within the context of the time they were in government. Therefore, we will come to this government, as you said, fine. But the point is this: every administration can be assessed within the period that is in power.
Okay.
So for 25 years, generally speaking, Nigeria has regressed. Quality of life has been eroded. Security is worse than it ever was. I'm not talking about, it's not just now. In 25 years, over the 25 years, we have not seen much. Sometimes you take 2 steps forward, you take 3 steps backward. And
most times?
All the time. All the time. I mean, between you and me, from 2015 to 2023, we thought we had the worst we've ever seen in Nigeria. In this 2023 to 2024, in my own opinion, and I'm telling you in the opinion of most people on the streets of Nigeria, things are even worse under Tinubu than under Buhari. So therefore, we have been going backward. That's the way I see
we'll come to this.
25
but what
years.
you're saying is we've been going backwards to 25 years.
We have not achieved much for our people.
Do we have democracy
country.
in the real sense of the word?
Well, I got to tell you, so long as the president of the Federal Republic is the one appointing the chairman of the independent, so-called independent campaign, national INEC, we don't have a democracy.
Okay, all right, I want to come to
We don't have a democracy.
It's a Femi-Dagunro.
The votes of the people don't really count.
We don't have a true democracy. We don't have democracy in the real sense of the word.
I will agree with that. You see, democracy even allows for these agitations, Dr. Pearse. If there's no democracy, you can't see people agitating. They will be, rounded up and dealt with, and they will dealt with accordingly. But you see, democracy still allows the people to still say, look, we want this, we want that. But then there will be a certain ramification. There will be a kind of parameter to say, look, this is what we want. But democracy gives everybody that right, that freedom to say, listen, we want something for our people. But look at those people who say we want something for our people. Are these people really wanting something for their people or for themselves? You see, this is why you see that most of these agitations, you don't see some quality people following through. Maybe behind the scene, but we don't see them coming out and saying, oh, truly, we want this. Let's go for a referendum. We are backing it. We want to support it.
But you said everything that is happening, whether it's good or bad, is happening within democracy.
Yes,
that is what democracy is about.
That's the freedom of democracy.
Mr. Pearse.
Democracy, in theory, is the principle of equal opportunity for everybody. Therefore, we have democracy in that sense. But when it comes to actualizing the dividends of democracy for the people, democracy is not about talk, about involvement alone. It's like you say, anybody can take an exam. So what? Where is the result of the exam? Did I pass or did I fail?
And how did you pass? How did you feel?
How did I pass?
Did you cheat or did you?
Exactly. Now, we want results. It's not enough to say you can vote, but does your vote count? It's not enough to say you can contest, but have you been rigged out? It's not enough to say you can go to work. Yes, you can go to work, but if you're making 30,000 naira minimum wage and you can't even pay your way to go to work, what is the purpose of this democracy?
So you're saying as long as it's not a one-man, one-vote system,
It's a democracy.
it's not as long as it is not a one-man, one-vote system, we can't call it a true democracy. That's what you're saying.
Well,
As long as the votes don't count.
if the votes don't count, it's not a true democracy. I'm going to tell you, something's happening in Africa now. Some of these smaller countries are having revolution. They're kicking out elected officers. And people are saying, no, no, no. We must have a democracy. We must have a government by the people. Military regime is not right. It's not democratic. They can say that in America as long as they want. But we have seen in Africa, we have seen it in Nigeria, that sometimes these so-called elected, because they're not elected really, because they have been rigged into power, people don't want them because they cannot perform. Now, if you have a coup in Nigeria, people will say, oh, we are going back. Maybe not.
All right.
Sometimes when you go forward and you see that where you are going, there's no future there,
You retrace your steps.
you retrace your steps.
Mr. Femi-Dagunro.
Well, when Dr. Pearse mentioned talking about these some African countries, you know, I wouldn't want to agree with that because you see, what most of these African countries are defending is sovereignty in terms of we don't want colonial rule to continue indirectly. When you look at Burkina Faso, when you look at all these other places, they say, listen, France should get out. Mm-hmm. And we want to maintain our own individual integrity. So that's a different thing. And these guys, they come in, I mean, you see maybe a captain and young folks coming in and taking over. And then they look at the previous guy, they say, look, you've stolen billions look at Congo, look at all these other places. They found these other guys who said they are democratically elected, stealing their money, and these guys are coming and say it shouldn't be like that. I think, you see, we have to really be very cautious. That's why I'm saying when we're analyzing and when we're looking at some of these things, democracy evolves.
So we should protect what we have.
Yeah, see, when you look at America today, they still have issues, you know, but democracy allows Trump, you know, to be facing a situation, you know, a kind of challenge, that, you know, in the court, and still say, look, I'm a candidate. You know, we've seen that here in Nigeria as well. Look at that gentleman who was, I think, from Imo. He was granted bail and he had already taken the form of APC. So things are evolving, and it doesn't really matter whether this is 100 years or 25 years. It will continue to evolve. Look at in India, what's going on there. The African countries are beginning to say, look, we want to be democratically governed, but we want to be on our own. We don't want dictation or dictations from wherever. We want to be who we are. Look at what is going on now in South Africa.
Okay, we'll come back to discuss this further, and we'll be going to break now. And for those of you watching, please stay with us. Politics HQ, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Today is the anniversary of the swearing-in of Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu. He spent officially 12 full months in office. And from 1999, when Nigeria returned to democracy, May 29 is the day that every president has been sworn in. Now, hitherto, it has been marked as Democracy Day. But of course, recently, when President Buhari was still in power, as the former president of Nigeria, he signed into law a bill or an act that changed Democracy Day from May 29 to June 12, June 12, sorry. But of course, May 29 still is the day the Nigerian president is elected. So we talk about the president's performance every 12 months on May 29. Also talk about elections and democracy in Nigeria. I mean, gentlemen, before we went to the break, I have Dr. Adetokunbo Pearse. He's a public affairs analyst and convener of Research Lagos. Joe Femi-Dagunro, public policy analyst and founder of Lagos Forum. Gentlemen, before we went on the break, you know, you were both having a debate about, you know, whether Nigeria's democracy is any reason to celebrate how far we come. Now, Dr. Pearse, when your party, the PDP, was in power with Olusegun Obasanjo as president, the excuse your party gave was that Nigeria was embarking on a democratic experiment. Oh, give us time. We're still in the democratic experiment. Today, you're saying that we're going back and we need to retrace our steps. Maybe you're not being fair to the current APC.
When Obasanjo was in government, it was the first phase after the military. That's why he was saying it's an experimental period. But even then, when Obasanjo was in government, I beg you to judge the achievement of that administration in terms of quality of life for the people, in terms of law and order, in terms of the economy, in terms of governance.
But the Nigerians still had some complaints.
It was okay, like Joe said, there is no country in the world, and there's no time in human history where governance is perfect. People will always complain because it's never perfect. So all we can do ever is to judge in each context the period you were there compared to the period the other people were there.
So can you now say,
we can say
for all the negatives that you've highlighted, that maybe Nigerians should have a level of understanding that we're still in democratic experiment?
No.
That the PDP
democracy is always evolving.
Yes.
So in a way, you can say it's an experiment. All I'm saying is that the only reason that gives validation to what Obasanjo was saying at the period was that they had just come into a new democratic dispensation after 30-something years of military rule. But that's not an excuse for performance.
And what's an excuse there?
Well, no. Listen, he said it was an excuse. I'm saying that is never an excuse.
Okay.
Whether he said it or not, it's never an excuse.
All right.
Whenever you're in government, what can you do? If we were 10% successful when you got into government, are we now 8% successful or 15%? That's all. What have you done? Just no matter how little, let us see what you've done. By the way, two things that he mentioned that are creating problems in these African countries where they are getting rid of elected officials, government officials, is this. One, corruption of the leaders, amassing wealth like crazy. They're doing it now, are they not? They're doing it in this administration like never before.
But it happened when the
PDP
party was in power.
It doesn't matter. Look. If you had asked me during the period when Jonathan was in office and this corruption, we would talk about that.
Okay, all right.
That is not, listen, that is one, corruption, right?
Okay, all right.
Number two, something that most people don't understand, and I want him to understand that now, is that all those small countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, saying they are tired of colonial intervention, colonial control. They are right, but guess what? Nigeria is going through the same thing. We may not be directly controlled by the French as they are in Niger, but right now, our administration is fully, no matter what America says, that's what they want to do. This country, this administration, Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, was even talking about having American base in Nigeria.
So they're stooge of America and France.
Well, yes, sir.
Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying.
All right. Mr. Femi.
Therefore, don't be surprised if the people agitating for change of government.
Should Nigerians be a bit more patient and appreciative of this democratic experiment? When they were in power, it was a democratic experiment.
You see, let me say something.
It is still an experiment.
You see, if you go to a laboratory, you don't sit down there and be doing an experiment all your life. You get out of it and come with a result. So we shouldn't be talking about experiment after 25 years. It's an adulthood. You know, we are evolving just like we're growing older every day. But the point is this. I don't want to start saying what Obasanjo did or what he didn't do. I'm just looking at the whole time and saying, listen, what can we do to make Nigeria great? Tinubu fought for democracy. He understood that. And he still understands that correctly. Nobody can take him away from that. Nobody can take that away from him either. This guy understood democracy. He fought for it. And being there right now, he said, look, don't pity me. I asked for this job. So there's no point pitying this gentleman as the president, you know, despite all the challenges, despite all the things that even his own party couldn't support him to win this election. So now, when we are talking about all these things that elections, votes doesn't count, he lost Lagos. So he has that, if we are
That's
talking,
democracy in action,
that's
right?
democracy. And he didn't come back to say, okay, because I lost Lagos, I'm not going to help Lagos. We've seen past presidents. When they don't win in a state, they punish the state. This gentleman is not doing that in all the states. So he's not calling someone that, oh, I'm interested in this state, I'm interested in that state. So you could see democracy working. So that is not experiment. We are doing the right thing, but the right thing may not be enough to satisfy.
But it's growing.
Yeah, it's growing. The pillars of some of these things have been broken. And in some cases, there are no pillars at all. So this gentleman is coming in now to put in pillars where, when you talk about corruption, there are corruption. You have corruption everywhere.
Even in the United States of America.
Everywhere. You see, Biden was challenged because the son,
Hunter.
And, Hunter was there. And look at Trump, what he's facing all around. He built his Trump Tower, and he said all these people are coming there to stay because of, everywhere.
It's corruption.
Everywhere.
And America took many years to develop their democracy, right?
You see, so now let's look at something. When you say that America or France, we have allies. And we have to work with our allies to make things work. Nigeria cannot stand alone and say, because I don't want to be seen as being a stooge or a rat of any country. We must have allies. And the allies,
we need them.
We need our allies, and allies need us too. I don't want to say, and this is where we're going. And look at what the president has been doing. We recognize, the country recognizes the problem we are facing. The citizens of this recognizes the problem we're facing. But I think what the government should do, what the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu should do, is to say, listen, this is where we're going, these are the steps, but don't announce the bus stop before you get there. The thing is this, sometimes we say, oh, we are starting a program in June. Only for this program not to start in June. Begin the program, start the program, start whatever. They say we've started. Okay. I think that would be a lot more better than saying, we will get to this bus stop and then we have not been able to get to
Pearse.
So.
Look, every administration must be evaluated based on what it has done within the period it's in power, right? We agree on that. I also agree that democracy is always evolving. It's a work in progress, okay? There's no time to talk about experiment. It's just evolving. You're trying your best. In this administration, look, by the way, we need allies, international allies. But the way the world is going now, we need to be in BRICS. We need to be in BRICS. Not with
the Bretton Woods institutions.
Pardon?
Not with the Bretton Woods institutions.
Not European Union.
Okay.
This is where we need to be going. So
not with IMF, not with World Bank.
Look, IMF, what has IMF done for us? Except to destroy our economy. What has the World Bank done for us except to exploit us? This is why these smaller countries are showing the way, in my own opinion. They're saying that no more these former colonial governments.
No more France, no more United States, no more
all the
UK.
former colonial governments, including the United States, they are not doing anything in the interests of African countries. A colonial leader is always a colonial master. Therefore, we need to think differently. Now, that's why we are failing. We need to change direction. The world is changing. The world is changing. Now, look at this way. In this administration, judging what have we done, what is the situation of the economy? Where were we before you took over? Where are we now? Things are worse in the economy. Security, where are we now in terms of security?
Kofi, can I just come in between?
Things are worse now.
You see, these are rhetorics that we'll continue to hear everywhere. That things are worse, economy is worse. You see, this thing is not just of today.
Of course not.
Right? So when we are beginning to look at how are we moving forward, are we taking the right steps? Yes, we are.
We are not. We are going backward.
When you're looking at IMF, World Bank, who else is going to bail us out? African Union doesn't have that money. Where do you want to go? So you still need all these allies to make sure things work in this country. What we should do,
you'll find it in
BRICS that you are talking about, the BRICS, they depend on all those places as well. They still have to, work around it so that they don't have veto on some of their programs. So it's a collective thing. You see, let me tell you one thing. The good thing is that when we collect the money, what we should be asking our leaders, when you take this money, when you take this loan, what are you using it for? How far have you gone with the loans you've taken? We should be asking questions. And it's not about, okay, the economy was bad, Naira was this, we will continue to move around.
It's found in BRICS.
What do you want in BRICS?
Whatever.
Who are those in BRICS? Brazil, Russia, India,
China,
Canada, China, wherever. So now they've brought in South Africa. So are we going to be begging them to take us in? Let's show something. Let's begin to move. Why don't you say, let us develop African Union? Look at what Ruto is doing. Ruto said, listen, you can do something with me. He went to Djibouti and said, don't use dollar to trade with me again. Use my shilling and use your currency.
That is exactly what BRICS is doing.
So if we are doing that, and at the same time, let us start from Africa. We are leaders. Let us begin. We have been walking around to say we want to have ECOWAS.
But he's saying that is exactly what BRICS is doing.
No, BRICS is doing that, but let's talk about Nigeria. If you lose our identity is to be Nigeria, to be recognized as a sovereign country. And
but don't you say we need allies?
Yes, our allies should be supporting us on our program. Not on everything they bring, we have to buy. I agree with that. That we say, but we need allies, we need funding. But what I think the citizens of this country should be thinking is, if you take 10 billion from anywhere, what are you using the 10 billion for? You said you want to do something, do it, and let's begin to see what you have done.
We have in this administration, as Barrister Falano said, the worst in economy, in security, in governance since the amalgamation of Nigeria. You know why? Individuals and their personality and their character make up government. Our president is alleged to be a drug baron.
No, let's not.
No, please.
That's a campaign.
Please.
That's a campaign.
It's not campaign. I'm not campaigning. There's no election anywhere.
That's a campaign.
There's no election
I want to see where.
anywhere.
Let's talk about
I
this.
thought you said you are not a politician.
Listen, this is campaign.
So why are you defending this
Okay, gentlemen, we'll
administration?
continue after the break.
This is a campaign thing, and that's the reference.
This is the worst administration
You have
in
a
history
leader that is
since
leading you,
amalgamation.
and you are saying that since amalgamation, Obasanjo cannot repair the road to Ota. What are you telling me? If you want to begin to analyze, I know. If the road to Ota was bad, so what has happened? When that Daniel came, he did one other side. What are you going to look at the electricity? Look at the energy. Today we've sold the telecom to the other people, and we don't have fax. We don't have landline. Is that a good deal? It's not a good deal. All other countries, I've traveled to more than 45 African countries. I know they have landlines.
We'll continue this conversation.
I don't want to be accusing individuals.
Yes.
I want to say, where do we go?
When we come back, we continue with the issues, especially what you gentlemen have raised right here. It's the Politics HQ. We'll be right back. Welcome back. There was confusion yesterday when two presidential media aides issued two conflicting statements regarding the president's itinerary for today, which marks his first full year in office. Bayo Nanuga, Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, he's a journalist by training, my senior colleague, said in a statement he put out on X that Mr. President would not give a national broadcast to mark his first full year in office, but would rather address a joint session of the National Assembly. Now, not long after that, Ajuri Ngelale, Special Advisor, Media and Publicity to the President, another journalist by training, my senior colleague, described that information as, quote, false and unauthorized, saying that the office of the President was not involved in planning the event and that the President would instead mark the day by inaugurating, quote, transformative projects, end of quote. Well, the rest of today's history. Mr. President showed up at the National Assembly today to sign the bill reintroducing Nigeria's discarded national anthem, Nigeria We Hail Thee, thereby discarding the current national anthem, Arise O Compatriots, to the dustbin of history. Now, he also gave an unplanned address to the legislators for about 7 minutes, speaking on the newly signed national anthem law. Let's listen.
You rang out the latest national anthem, Nigeria We Hail Thee. See, this is our diversity, representing all characters. And how we blend together to be brothers and sisters. Without this house, probably I may not find a path to the presidency. I started all from there.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm sure you all remember the words to the national anthem. 1978 is not too far off. But what do you make of the Femi-Dagunro, of the communications confusion emanating from Asarok?
You see, these are the things that I said we should avoid. You know, when we have special advisor on a particular thing, or particular portfolio is being assigned to a particular gentleman, and you have the office of the presidency, another spokesperson there, I think the confusion will always happen when we are not coordinated. It's a matter of coordination. You know, this one cannot be saying this and the other gentleman will be saying another thing. Then we're sending wrong signal. You know, I told you don't announce the bus stop until you get there before you do all things. So there should be meetings regularly. I don't know how it works there, but in the corporate sector, you see meetings, you know what to say and you know how to say, who to say what. There's a confusion there. And I think it's not something we can just continue to, you know, talk
Is this indicative of... you know, the fact that the administration does
No, I think that it can happen. Even in your system, it can
happen anywhere.
Yes, it can happen.
But this has been consistently what has been going on in this administration. In the first place, this administration, this president has appointed more ministers, more officials than anybody in the history of Nigeria, since amalgamation, okay? Now, the result of that is this conflict. We are paying 3 salaries instead of 1 in this administration where we don't have money.
More
than 3. I'm just saying, as an example, like these 2 conflicting positions now.
Oh, okay.
This is what happens. And I bet you there are even more. So 3, 4. Duplication upon duplication. Let me tell you the cost of that duplication and inconsistency. Recently, Total Energies pulled out a deal they wanted to do with Nigeria, $6 billion they wanted to invest in the energy sector. They took it to Angola. You know why? For this same reason. That there's no... Wait a minute, please.
Let me just know what the reason is.
There's no consistency in policy in Nigeria.
Have you been to Angola, Dr.
That's
Pearse?
what they said. I don't look.
You know, when we talk like this,
I am telling you what Total Energies did.
It's a deal. Energy is a deal all over the world.
Total Energies saying that Nigeria economic climate is unfavorable because of this type of inconsistency in policy, pulled away $6 billion investment and took it to Angola, where they say their policy is more stable. Now, let me give you another reason why we are in economic distress in Nigeria. One, created by this administration for now. One, overtaxation. Companies are running away because of draconian taxes in Nigeria. 2, corruption, whereby government officials will ask you for a bribe even to come and save their family. They're so damn corrupt. 3, let me tell you something. Here is a country where the businesses are not secured. Foreign companies are not coming here. No matter what the president says, nobody's coming. They will not come to the country. He
said he came, brought billions of dollars in investment.
He said he brought
from India.
He said one time he said he has 60 billion committed. We never saw anything. He said Dubai was going to bring money, we didn't see anything. He said Saudi was going to bring millions, we didn't see anything.
He said the Indians have brought some of that money.
Look, okay, 1 out of 5, let us say. We haven't seen anything on ground. Recently, he said he signed an agreement with these international companies. Maersk, the shipping company, announced publicly that they don't have any deal with Nigeria. All sorts of fraudulent lies and hypocrisy.
So you're saying this communications confusion is part of the, I guess, another example of the inconsistency.
I am just telling you where Total Energies, I use proof, direct research proof. It's not me saying it.
All right.
It's 6 billion. Wait. There's some other problem.
Okay.
The cost of energy. No company will come here if they have to power their company with either petrol, diesel, or electricity. Now, all 3 are so expensive, so prohibitively expensive, that they cannot make a profit. Therefore, unemployment is going up.
All right.
Companies are folding. This is what is happening now. The government is failing. It's as simple as that.
Let me tell you. You see, when I hear the government is failing, I kind of understand that.
Is it succeeding?
Because you have to have a process.
Is it succeeding?
That's why I asked Dr. Pearse, have you been to Angola? Angola has a kind of a farm where you put generators there to run, and you think it's electricity. And this, you see, the daughter of the president, he was charged, for this kind of corruption and all these things. The corruption is everywhere. I don't support it. I don't think my country should be part of it. But when we mention countries that we've not been to, we don't know how it operates, So we begin to see, that's why I'm saying that African countries, the continent of Africa, we should be able to help ourselves. But it's unfortunate. If you have Angola that cannot assist his people there, you see the poverty in Angola? Do you go to that place? I'm telling you this because I know the place, and I'm held meetings directly with some of these guys.
You've seen the poverty in Angola. Have you seen the poverty in northern Nigeria?
I know the poverty. Listen.
In the villages of Nigeria?
Dr. Pearse, I don't stay in the GRA. I stay in the PLA. People live in area. That's where I stay. I stay within the community.
In Lagos?
Yes, in this Lagos. I was born here and schooled here, and I'm here.
Look, you don't know Nigeria.
Don't forget it. I've been out of this country for a couple of years. I know what it is. So what we are saying is this. Let us look at how to move this country forward. Let us look at the processes. Let us look at what we can do. If Total Energy moves out, what makes them to move out? What can we do to make sure that other people are coming?
Gentlemen,
listen, hold on. This guy now said is bringing, commitment, and this is what I've been saying. We have to get a good corporate strategy. Communication strategy is what might be failing in some cases. Okay. You see, if any country,
the government needs to get a proper
communication strategy. It's not really working the way it should be.
We'll come back after this break to look at some of the national anthem. Please stay with us. All right, Nigeria, we hail thee. That is the new Nigerian anthem, not so new anyway. It's the old one discarded and brought back. Joe Femi-Dagunro, do you accept this new national anthem? And should Nigerians accept it? Former Education Minister, Professor Obiageli Ezekwe has tweeted she does not accept any national anthem apart from the old one.
It's her option. She's got an option to sing wherever she wants to sing, but this is what will be recognized. But before we go into that quickly, you see, this government must have communication strategists. Being journalists of 20, 30 years does not make you a communication strategist. And we shouldn't make these mistakes, because we are not going to be experimenting on this kind of information. Once we, shoot out some of these things, then it becomes,
So because of time?
Yes. Now, this anthem, for whatever reason, if I sat back, really, sometimes you sing anthem, you don't even really look at what it is. I looked at it, I said, look, this anthem is okay. Nigeria, we hail thee. Maybe people were then saying because it was written by a foreigner, why should a foreigner write our own anthems for what? We brought Arise, O Compatriots. But if you look at some of these things, you might say, Arise, O Compatriots, are we all compatriots?
Dr. Pearse, Dr. Pearse.
This is the only thing that this administration has got correct. I agree totally because because the lyrics, the words, of the 1978 Obasanjo anthem does not really reflect the culture and the tempo of Nigeria. That old national anthem does.
Gentlemen.
So I'm glad it's been brought back.
At least you ending and concluding by agreeing on something. I'm sure you can both shake hands on that.
Why not?
Interesting. In conclusion, democracy in Nigeria, faces significant challenges, but the country has made progress and has the potential to consolidate its democratic gains. It's essential for Nigerians to continue demanding a better democracy and for leaders to prioritize over people's interests over personal ambitions.
That's right.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon. I want to thank Dr. Adetokunbo, Pearse, Public Affairs Analyst and Convener, Reset Lagos PDP, and Joe Femi-Dagunro, Public Policy Analyst and Founder, Lagos Forum. Gentlemen, enjoyed having you tonight.
Thank you.